All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. We got April 18th and our last two NBA play-in tournament games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games, so both of them. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, so last time we saw each other for NBA, we had a good night. We went 3-1. We had the Heat on the money line there for +110. We shall take the cha-ching there. We had the Mavs and Kings over 213.5. Then we also had Klay Thompson, which I thought was a very, very good look. It ends up being a good look. So you know what? One more cha-ching. Our only loss was Bam Adebayo over 18.5 points. I wonder if that game wasn't so lopsided, if that gets closer. I think he finished with, what, 15? Not exactly sure, but we might talk about Bam a little bit later on in this video as well. But a 3-1 night we are coming off of. Nice to see that. Let's take some of that momentum and roll it right into these two games. So these games will decide who ends up getting that, ultimately the 8th seed in both the East and the West. The Hawks and the Grizz lost their games in terms of game 1 of the play-in, right? So they get their next chance. They get their redemption chance here against the two teams that won in the 9 and 10 matchup, Miami and Dallas. But again, winner of this plays the Thunder and the Cavs. So let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's start it out with Atlanta taking on Miami. So this is the game to decide who's going to be that 8th seed sliding in and playing the number 1 seed Cavs. Atlanta did not look all that great whatsoever against Orlando, right? 120-95. They lost, I believe, all but one of the quarters. Maybe they battled out in that third quarter, now that I say that out loud. But either way, that was a Orlando game from the jump, right? And then at the end of the game, Orlando just absolutely took over as well. So they really did get outplayed. The defense looked good, but what I will say is Atlanta was also missing shots, and even Trae Young, some of those floaters and whatnot. So they didn't play their best basketball in that game, and it made them look a lot worse than I'd say that they were. Now, Miami, on the flip side, I think looked really good. I think the defense looked good. They played in a low-scoring game. They won by, 19 points, 109-90. Good math, Ev. We saw Tyler Hero have a really good night. Wiggins stepped up. Bam and I want to say it was Davion Mitchell also contributed 15 points each. So some of those guys, stepped up for this Miami team, but obviously Tyler Hero dropping 38 was massive. Andrew Wiggins, the acquiree at that deadline, massive for them as well. This one's going to be a tough one to nail down because, again, we have a 1-point spread. Atlanta is at home. I think that gives them a little bit of, an advantage, and that shouldn't be shocking anyone. But there are a lot of lanes to go down to say why Miami should be the better team. First and foremost, Miami, bar none, right? Like, there's no argument here. They are the best defense in this game. They are the better defense. Atlanta's defense not looking all that great. Even throwing how we talked about Atlanta against Orlando, right? Like, Orlando, this slow-paced team, they'll play in half court all the time. They dropped 120 on them. As a team, they shot, I believe it was nearly 50% from the field, and they barely hit their threes and still scored 120. They shot below 30% from 3, which makes sense for Orlando, but still scored 120 on them, right? So this Atlanta defense, not that it's ever been good, but not exactly playing all that great as of right now. I think that's going to be tough. If this thing has to turn into, stop, score, stop, you need to get a stop here, you need to get a stop there. There's only one of these teams that I believe can do that. So yeah, I'm probably going to be looking at Miami for that sole reason. Plus money yet again. Can they win 2 plus money road play-in games? That would be tough, but, I would say in terms of, organization and playoff-wise and whatnot, like, they have the more recent experience in terms of making it deep into the playoffs, even just historically, I guess you could say, in the last, decade or so. Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware should have good games going up against Mo Gay and Okongwu. Now, this is not going to be the same sort of situation as they were playing the Bulls. The Bulls are really, really bad at defending the paint, right? Atlanta's just really bad, so they're not as bad as the Bulls. They're a bottom 10 team in terms of points in the paint allowed, but for that reason, I think that this is going to be something that I start leaning towards Miami about. So give me Miami on the money line. You can get them for plus money, like I said. This line's been moving all over the place, though, so if you like Atlanta, you could probably wait it out or find something getting them at plus money, because right now you have Miami at -1, but plus money on the money line on some books, and I've seen just earlier this morning and late last night kind of flipped. So you're pretty much a pick 'em. If you could snag plus on either side, great. I think I'm going to be on Miami. In terms of a total, I kind of gave that at Atlanta that credit when it came to the Atlanta and Magic game, right? I really do think that Atlanta can push the tempo here, and Miami, not so much a fast-paced team, but they will run with you, right? And we've seen that a few times, so I don't mind the idea of an over. I think Atlanta knows that, this is winner go home time, and the only thing that we can do good is probably run and score, right? Like, if we can try and score the basketball, that's our best situation, instead of saying, hey, guys, let's lock in. Like, it's Dyson Daniels and a bunch of, who's in terms of elite defense on that side of things. So I do think that this one can get up and over just due to the game plan, I would say. Like, Atlanta's crazy if they want to play half-court basketball with Miami. Taking a peek at, this offense, Miami's kind of middle of the pack in both isolation and pick and roll, but Atlanta is god-awful at defending the pick and roll. So if we do see some pick and roll action, it's going to be Tyler Hero setting up in the half court, probably him and Bam Adebayo 1-2 type game, and that's not going to serve well for Atlanta, right? So ultimately, I think Atlanta's going to want to run, and we could see some transition, and Miami and Atlanta too, actually pretty bad transition defenses. Now, you'd probably expect that from Atlanta, but Miami allowing just under 55% this whole season, so big sample size, to their opponents in transition. So if Atlanta wants to run, I think they might be able to. In terms of their recent games, so they just played one about 3 weeks ago, 122-112. That was a win for Miami. It was in Miami. Trae Young had a really good game. I think he had like 30 and 12 or something like that. So did Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero went for 36 in that one. The time before that, it was also fairly high scoring. That was late February, 131-109. The time right before that was actually a low-scoring game, 98-86. And then the one other time they played this season, it got to 230 as a total. Atlanta won 122-110. It's worth noting, and I feel like I'd be an idiot not to mention this for anyone that likes Atlanta out there, Miami has won both games in this season series in Miami. Atlanta has won both games in Atlanta. Just want to throw that out there. Now, earlier in the year, obviously, injuries and even trades after the deadline, so could be a little bit different. The more recent teams, Miami had won, but those were in Miami. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Miami as well as the over. I might like the over more than I do Miami. I was big on Miami against the Bulls. They end up pulling it through. I think Atlanta, at least has a few pieces to the recipe here, ingredients that they could hang in this game and almost run Miami, especially at home, kind of out of town here. But let's get into a couple player props here. The first one I want to look at, and we've already mentioned actually a few of these names. I like Bam Adebayo, kind of looking at his points plus rebounds. He has absolutely burned us at times this year, but then also even last game being our sole loss. So I would say that he, I have 3 player props here, and they're all kind of studs, so we'll get into them. No tertiary or role players, but Bam's probably my least favorite. I like his points plus rebounds. He should be able to rebound well against this Atlanta team. We've seen a ton of power forwards rebound well against them, and same thing with scoring. So yes, his line is going to be a little bit elevated in terms of what I'd like it at right now. You're looking at points plus rebounds at 30.5. That's for plus money, though. You can bump this right down to 29.5 and get -112 odds. So that would probably be more or less where I go. But that 30.5 for plus 105 over on FD also is a little bit tempting, right? We'll keep it in the Miami sector here. I'm also going to be taking a peek at, and I already mentioned his name, Tyler Hero. This guy, at the very least, I would assume is going to shoot a bunch and chuck, you know what I mean? Like, especially against a team like this Hawks team where he should be able to dominate. And I mean dominate in terms of coming off of the pick and roll. His last couple games here against this Atlanta team, he had 24 points, 10 assists, and then 36 points, 4 assists. He's averaging 32 points plus assists against the squad dating back to 2023. So, yeah, I don't mind this spot for him when he is on the road, so playing in Atlanta. The last time he played was pretty rough, but ultimately that was just a really bad game. I think he shot like 19% from the field. The 2 times before that, 33 points, 4 assists, 28 points, 10 assists. So yeah, Tyler Hero over in points plus assists is going to be something that I'm looking at. You're getting plus money for that as well. It's 31.5 if you like it there. I don't think it's all that bad to look at over 29.5 either. Go get us a 20 in 10 games, something like that, and we could be talking, right? Now his assist line's at 5.5. I would probably peg him right around the 5 assists number, so I kind of considered that. The reason I like the assists is because if he starts kind of torching them in the pick and roll, they will blitz him and they will try and move him off the ball in terms of coming off of that screen. But even still, I mean, right now his points line is at 25.5. His assist line's at 5.5. You add those up, you're looking at 30, right? So he should have a floor right at this line. So Tyler Hero's the next one, and then Trae Young, same exact thing, points plus assist. I feel like we got kind of screwed last time with Trae Young, obviously at the end of the game, but also he was just one shy of his points plus assist line. He missed about 10 floaters, and I'm not even exaggerating. So I think this could be a good spot for him in terms of how he's going to play. This Miami team, pretty damn good in the isolation defense, but not all that great when it comes to the pick and roll, and not all that tremendous. I mean, they're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to both catch and shoot and pull-up jumper. So Trae Young might be able to hit some shots today as well. So yeah, I'm kind of liking both of the point guards in this position. All right, real quick, before we move on with the rest of the slate, meaning just one other game, I want to talk to you guys about, we got Underdog. Underdog has an awesome thing going on right now. Luka, first off, you get a free square. He plays tomorrow. You can use it tonight. You could use it tomorrow if you sign up today. But they also have the extender promo going on right now, meaning you get boosts throughout the NBA playoffs, but the boost grows as the series progresses. So if you get a 7-game series, the boost goes up and up and up and up every single game of that series. So really, really cool. This is the type of stuff I love about Underdog. They're constantly innovating, doing new stuff. Their product is unmatched. It's the most simple interface, I would say, that they have, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on your computer. Really, really cool. So if you guys like player props and you have not tried Underdog yet, check out the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Sign up today. All you have to do is pick higher or lower on player set projections, put them into an entry together. The more you get correct, the more you get paid out. So go ahead and check it out. You can win up to 1,000x your money over on Underdog. You get this Luka square, and they're also doing a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So a lot of cool stuff over there. Do not miss this for the playoffs. No one else is offering something like this. That extender series is going to be very, very, very cool. Trust me. See it for yourself, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. All right, we got one more game to talk about here. Memphis taking on Dallas. I will say I have a tough time. Now, Anthony Davis being in the Dallas lineup is a big add, right? And Ja Morant's questionable. So obviously injuries right now could be super, I guess, I don't know, change this on a dime, right? But assuming everyone plays, assuming that, Ja Morant plays with the ankle, I think he's expected to be a game-time decision. But honestly, I expect him to play. So as we talk about this, I'm thinking Anthony Davis is playing. I'm thinking Ja's playing. I'm thinking these guys are healthy, right? This is a Memphis team that is really, really good. I'm having a tough time making any sort of argument to get to Dallas. Dallas going to try and score, I guess, in the paint. That's what they've been doing. Maybe you could make the argument that Memphis's paint defense hasn't been as good as it once was earlier in the year, but still, this is a top 10, if you take the bigger sample size, a top 10 defense. Dallas is also a team that runs a decent amount of isolation. Now, this is including some numbers when, obviously, Luka is there, Kyrie is there. These are season-long. Either way, though, Memphis, the number 1 team in terms of effective field goal percentage against defensively against the isolation, and number 1 in terms of score percentage. You can even see it right here. This is our dashboard. I'll show you guys how to get access to it in just a second. You can see Dallas, a lot of green, the second highest frequency rate this year in terms of isolation. Memphis greens out that defensively, right? Even down here, well, okay, maybe you can get them in the pick and roll because 16, 16, 20, not all that great. But it's not like Dallas operates in the pick and roll all that much, especially given the new starting lineup they have now. We liked Klay Thompson last time out because they're playing a weak pick and roll team, and he's going to be able to come off the screens. He's not necessarily a scorer off the screen, so I liked his assists. So sure, that could be another look, but that's more player prop driven. That's not exactly me saying that's a massive advantage for Dallas in this one. What I would say is we know that Memphis is going to score in the paint. They scored the second most points in the paint this year. Dallas, now Anthony Davis is a big factor. I've mentioned him already, right? But Dallas, dreadful in the paint overall. They've been a little bit better when it comes to, them recently. They're in the paint here, just 65.3% to their opponents. So sure, that is very, very good. And they actually play some decent transition defense here. Memphis likes to run 48.9%. So those are like some ties, but nothing seems to be correlated, or I guess connected is probably a better word for me to like Memphis. If Memphis wants to score in the paint, they should be able to, even with Anthony Davis down there, right? They have multiple guys that can score down there. Anthony Davis either going to get Jaren Jackson or Zach Edey. Derek Lively, Gafford will probably switch off, play the other one. But who's covering Ja Morant? Is it going to be Clay, Marshall, PJ Washington? He's too quick for any of those guys. Desmond Bane's probably in a decently primed position too as well, right? We have a team that is pretty good at stopping the catch and shoot and the pull-up, but it's not like Memphis wants to do either of those, right? They catch and shoot a little bit more, but the pull-up where Dallas is really good defensively, look at that. Memphis doesn't even want to try to do that. So, yeah, it's tough for me to be like, oh, well, the things that Dallas does well are going to be a thorn in the side of Memphis. No, the paint defense is an issue. That's how Memphis is going to score and how they want to score. And if they run in transition, I think you could say Dallas has some decent transition defense. But at the same time, Memphis is one of the best transition offenses in the league. I think that they can handle it. You know what I mean? So I am going to lean towards Memphis in this one. 6 points is a decent amount. I will say that. I do think that that's a lot of points to be laying because Dallas, again, with Anthony Davis, it's a better team. But let's not try and say that this is a team like Sacramento and Memphis are on the same level. The last time, which was the last game of the year, right? And we took a little while to mention this, kind of burying the lead. Last time these two squads played, now this was no, I want to say this was like no Clay, no Anthony Davis, but Ja Morant didn't play for Memphis either. And this was an absolute blowout for this squad. Memphis beat them by like 40. Again, totally different game. A lot of studs not playing in that one, but Memphis has owned them so far this year. They looks like they've won, 3 of the 4 games. They've covered in 3 of the 4 as well. So Memphis is my side. I think they can run on Dallas, even though Dallas can play with pace. I think they can run on Dallas, and Ja Morant should be in line for a good game, assuming the dude is healthy enough to play because, he is questionable in this one. So if he doesn't play, I would say that that's a pretty big deal overall. But 24.5 points, I like the spot for him. In terms of him, recently he's hit that in 8 of his last 10 games. 22 and 21 were the games in which he didn't, but he's hit 31 points in 2 straight games against his Dallas team. I just think it's a good spot. Transition, maybe not so much, but coming off the screen, even in the isolation, anything like that, I could see him playing pretty damn well. In terms of where we go from a player prop, I kind of like, again, Klay Thompson just because of the type of basketball. And if you watch that game of him against Sacramento, it was kind of right where we thought it would be, right? And he didn't have the assist. I know I had said he might get some more assists, but he did end up having, a decent amount. I think he had like 4 or 5 potential assists. So I'd probably go to his points or his points plus assists again. I think the points for plus 100 over on FanDuel may be the move here. This is a guy that's obviously been around the block in terms of playing in playoff games, right? And he's also hit 15 points in 2 straight games against Memphis. I think that Klay, with, the injuries that they have, they're going to need him. And him and Anthony Davis should be, the spot of focus for this Dallas team. PJ Washington, I would think, is going to get a lot of attempts. That being said, there is definitely a chance that Memphis kind of packs inside, tries to double down on Anthony Davis. If Zach Edey's covering Davis, we're going to have a problem, so I'm sure they'll throw some different looks at him. I would say Klay Thompson over 14.5 points would be a player prop I look at. So, yeah, we're looking at studs. In game number 1, we like Trey, Tyler Hero, and Bam, right? In game number 2, we like Ja and obviously Klay Thompson. We got some big names in terms of player props that we're liking. In terms of where we'd go from a total perspective. Before we do that, let me tell you about the dashboard, then we'll get back to the total. It's real simple to get access to that Guy Boston Sports dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com. That's also the link in the pinned comment taking you to the final plays. Head over to the member section. NBA dashboard's right there in the menu. If you're logged in, great. The dashboard will pop up. Only 2 games today, but you'll get this dashboard, which is breaking down each game for you in a visual format to help you kind of start your research process and go forward throughout the day when making your plays, having sort of a baseline and a nice starting point. Everything's color coded. Red is bad, green is good. That should make sense, right? We have team trends over here for this year, whether they're home or away, the last 3 games, which is going to be really important in the playoffs. Then we have shooting zones, shooting frequency. We have some player prop information down here, isolation, pick and roll, catch and shoot, pull up, and then some team trends in terms of over-unders and against the numbers in terms of some situational stuff. So really cool stuff, guys. Again, that's over here. If you're not logged in, we'll set this to a logged out mode so you guys can see what the process would be. You don't come over here, click on NBA dashboard. It's going to say, hey, you need a member to access this. We have 3 different memberships. We have the all sports, we have the NBA membership, so you'd just be getting the NBA dashboard each and every day, or you have the MLB, so you can get the all sports, you get both of these every single day, and you're saving a little bit per month, right? If you just want the NBA, then go ahead, yeah, less than $3 per month, really, really good deal. I will say this is going to get more expensive as the years go on. We're not upping it until next season, so don't worry, but if you are interested in being like $3 a month, that's nothing, which it isn't based on what you're getting, right? Like, this is certainly worth $3 a month. If you get in at this price and just want to keep that subscription, we will always keep you locked in at the price you signed up on, especially for the same membership. So yeah, maybe that's a little strategy you guys want to use, but consider becoming a Guy Boston member today. Again, that's GuyBostonSports.com. It's different than the YouTube membership. That's not for the members only content. This is just for the dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com. All right, the total. I mentioned how Memphis is going to want to run, but Dallas to some degree should be able to, prevent them from scoring in transition. I would say that's true to some degree. This is still a Memphis team that the frequency at which they'll want to run in transition is going to be very, very high. And we've seen this, now I know it's playoff basketball and we're going to get a lot of talk about, well, playoffs are different and all that, but we've just seen a ton of high scoring games between these two squads, at least to this line. Now, when they've usually matched up, these totals have been 237.5, 231.5, 245.5, 236, a little bit higher, but 132 to 97, 122 to 111, 119 to 104, 121 to 116. Those are the 4 games they've played this year. Obviously, teams are a little bit different. They've had trades, they've had injuries, but 221.5 for a Memphis team that wants to run and a Dallas team that, I don't necessarily think is going to defend them as well as we might think, even with Anthony Davis down in the paint. I think that this is an over spot or just a Memphis team total over. So I've been kind of putting that idea around because obviously Memphis, I already mentioned how -6 is kind of a decent number, right? But we could also just look at Memphis over 110.5, over 111.5, and Dallas could win this game for all we care. And if Memphis does play with some decent transition and whatnot, we might be looking pretty good, right? They've scored at least 112 points in 6 straight games against Dallas, and at home 3 straight in which they've gone 113, 119, and 132. They're averaging 119. Again, it's playoff basketball. I get it. But I still think that the Memphis team total over 111.5, over 110.5 could be a decent spot to take a peek at. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. I know we get some comments. Most of you guys appreciate it, and I know I ramble and talk too much. I get it. We're working on it. Kind of, sort of, not really. But I know we get a lot of comments like 2 games, 20 minutes. Yeah, we're excited. I mean, I'm just juiced up for the playoffs and whatnot, so I'm sure we'll get more succinct as we have more games. But guys, sue me. I love talking basketball. We got 2 games. I feel like we can dive a little bit deeper into more deep, I guess, or deeper into these games. That's why it's kind of long. So hopefully you guys like that, but I'm aware that, we're rambling about some of these. So we'll shut up and dribble to some degree, all right? But we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.